Hello there. What we are going to be looking at in this video is how to set up our workflow and create an agent in BimpeAI for our use cases. So the first thing we have to do, of course, is to head over to BimpeAI to create our accounts. So you have to create your account and log in. After doing that, you would just a minute for this to load. Yeah, so you get started, and that would prompt you to, create an account. Having done that, you should have a page like this. So towards the left, you want to get your API key. So I have my API key here. I just have to copy that. I've copied that. So I have to head over to my ID and then just save that somewhere. So I blurred out, of course, some part of my API key so that it would not be public. But then, if it's um, personal to you, you can just copy that and keep it um, in a secure location. So we have um, different SDKs, software development kits in TypeScript and Python. So can get that in the official documentation from the AI website. Um, so what our focus would be, so there are different sections of the documentation, but our focus is in the use cases. So we have what the anatomy of a workflow agent. So what should we look out for when we are creating our agent? So the first thing we need to do is to find or create a workflow. So if the workflow we are trying to create has been created before, you can just use what somebody has created before. The second part is to create an actual agent to create your agent. So here you have to configure the workflow ID, the name, the description of your agent, and all of that. Then thirdly, you have to add a knowledge base. So this is optional, but it helps your agent to be specific to your use case. And then you have to inspect the agent sub resources. You have to test the agent, and then you have to deploy. That's your agent going live. So I'll take us back to um, the first bot. I mean the first agent we are going to be building. So that's here in my VS Code. All right, so this is the code for that. I have to import the necessary libraries or packages and then follow the anatomy of the agents that we have seen before. So first of all, I have to get my API key ready. I have to um, create an agent. In this case, we are trying to create a solar um, yeah, trying to create a solar I wanted to say solar system, but that's so ambiguous. So we are trying to create an agent that helps our solar company or our solar business, run. Um, so the role and the context is what we have here. So we are just defining what the agent is supposed to do. So it's an elite energy engineering consultant for this company, Luminary Solar Hub. So what's the job? The job is to calculate household sizings, allocations based on appliances and gadgets that they have in the household, and then recommend. So what are the recommend the best service or products from our company to the users, and then there are of course operational rules. So what should it look out for? What should it ask for? So if there are um, all of these gadgets, then it can now make decisions based on that. So we integrated Paystack. We'll be talking about that later. But next thing is just to ensure our agent is being described well, and then we have um, the knowledge base. Of course, we have the knowledge base. So this is going to be peculiar to our own use case, and then we have to deploy um, our agents and make sure it goes live. So we have a print statement that tells us that the agent is live if um, everything goes as expected. If not, we would have an error. It would throw us an error. Now we run the um, file, the Python file. So this, of course, is a Python file. Maybe I could um, expand that a bit. Sorry. So the extension is .py. I'm using the Python SDK, not the TypeScript. So I run that. So I won't be running that live because if I do that, I will probably get an error because my API key is not um, correct. So I've done this before. So it tells me, it prints a statement that says deploying Luminary Solar Advisory Boards with Paystack infrastructure. So we added the Paystack for payments, right? And then it tells us every other thing. Okay, the agent is initialized with this ID and the agent is live. So we then go back to our BimpeAI dashboard. So this is the personal dashboard. So these are the agents we have created, but our focus for now is with the Luminary Solar bot, right? So we want to integrate. So when it comes to integrations, you just head over here to integrations, and then you can integrate from a host of services. You have Paystack, you have Shopify, you have Stripe, you have Calendly, but because our agent is supposed to help us with payment, so we just configure the Paystack um, integration. It's quite simple. You just have to create a Paystack account, and then you get your API key from there. You put in the necessary details as you configure this integration, and then you can make use of your Paystack as an API. Then next is we want to look at how to deploy. So there are primarily um, two ways. No, I think so. To make it just simple, we have two ways to test our agents. So either we test on WhatsApp or we test on Instagram. We'll be testing on WhatsApp for you know the sake of simplicity. So there are other platforms you can um, deploy and test. So you have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, you have Messenger, and you have a web chat widget. The others are also coming soon that have not, gone live as of now. But for WhatsApp, it's quite simple. So we just have to generate a code. So it's saying regenerate because I've generated one already. So just generate a code and then test on WhatsApp. So if I click on this, I'll be directed to WhatsApp, or I could copy this number and then send this text to start this. I just want to copy that and then on my WhatsApp, um, so I have this is the number. If you remember, sorry, yeah. So this is the phone number that we were given. So if I had copied the phone number and I've texted it, I would have been directed here. Or you could just click on the link that says test on WhatsApp. So I want to clear the chat so everything looks new. I don't want to keep anything, so just clear chat and then have everything new. So I want to copy that message. Yeah, so I have everything clean now. So I want to copy that start message. So this is the code that was generated. I send it to the bot, um, and then I should have a message pop up that tells me that I'm now using Luminary Solar Bot. So what I can start chatting. So I just want to ask a simple questions like, "Hey, what can you help me with? Help me with." Oh, sorry, got a mistake here. All right, so I'll wait for the response for this. So it tells us that it can assist with all of these house load sizing, product information. So giving details about the product, payment process. So it can actually help us process our payments, and of course customer support, installation guidelines as well. So I think the most interesting part will be the payment process. So how do I go about making payments? Okay, we are waiting for the response.